how to say no without apologizing. Reclaim your boundaries and your dignity. Stop being everyone's emergency contact. You are not required to be constantly available to people who drain you. Let's get real. Do you feel like a bad person when you say no? Do you feel guilty for protecting your energy? Do you find yourself explaining and over-explaining every time you can't drop everything for someone else's priorities? But here's what no one tells you. Your constant availability isn't kindness, it's enabling, and your endless apologies aren't politeness. They're weakness disguised as nice. Today, we're rewiring the way you think about saying no and giving you the tools to protect your energy without feeling like you need to write a dissertation defending your decision. We're covering 5 game changers. First, why you apologize for having boundaries in the first place. Second, how to rewire your automatic responses. Third, the sandwich method. That's kind but firm. Fourth, why respect is earned in the no, not the yes. And fifth, how saying no creates space for your real yeses. 1. Why we apologize for boundaries, conditioning, and fear of rejection. You didn't come out of the womb apologizing for your needs. This behavior was taught to you. Somewhere along the way, you learned that disappointing people was worse than disappointing yourself. You learned that other people's comfort was more important than your own capacity. Maybe it was a parent who made you feel guilty every time you couldn't meet their emotional needs. Maybe it was teachers who rewarded compliance and punished autonomy. Maybe it was friends who only liked you when you were useful. But somewhere, you internalize the message that your worth is tied to your availability. The fear of rejection runs deep. You think that if you say no, people will leave. But here's the brutal truth. The people who leave when you set boundaries weren't really there for you anyway. They were there for what you could give them. You apologize for having boundaries because you've been conditioned to believe that boundaries are selfish. But boundaries aren't selfish. They're essential. They're the difference between being a person and being a doormat. They're the difference between relationships and transactions, Warren Buffett said. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. He wasn't talking about being rude. He was talking about being intentional with your most valuable resource, your time and energy. Every time you apologize for a boundary, you're reinforcing the idea that your limits are something to be ashamed of. You're teaching people that your boundaries are negotiable, your time isn't valuable, and your energy is disposable. 2. Rewire the script. Thanks for thinking of me. I can't, period. Time to upgrade your vocabulary. The old script sounds like this. I'm so sorry, I really wish I could help, but I'm just so busy right now, and I feel terrible about it. Maybe next time. I hope you're not mad. The new script sounds like this. Thanks for thinking of me. I can't, period, full stop, end of sentence. Notice what's missing. The apology, the explanation, the guilt, the overjustification. You're not being rude, you're being honest, you're not being mean, you're being clear. You don't owe anyone a detailed breakdown of why you're unavailable. You don't need to prove that your reason is good enough. You don't need to justify your decision to anyone except yourself. I can't is a complete sentence. That doesn't work for me is a complete sentence. I'm not available is a complete sentence. You're not required to provide a thesis defense of your boundaries. The magic happens when you stop over-explaining, when you give long, detailed explanations for why you can't do something. You're opening the door for negotiation. You're essentially saying, here are all the reasons why I can't help. But if you can solve these problems, then I guess I have to say yes. Rewire your automatic responses. Practice in the mirror. Practice with small requests before the big ones. Train your mouth to say, I can't, without your brain adding, because, afterward. 3. Practice the sandwich. Kind tone, firm no, no guilt. Here's a formula that works. Kindness plus firmness plus no guilt. It's not about being harsh, it's about being clear. The sandwich method looks like this. Start with appreciation, deliver the no clearly, end with goodwill. Thanks for thinking of me for this project. I won't be able to take it on. I hope you find someone great for it. Notice the structure. You acknowledge that they thought of you. That's the kindness. You state your boundary clearly. That's the firmness. You wish them well. That's the goodwill. What's missing? The guilt, the over-explanation, and the apology. Your tone matters as much as your words. You can say no with warmth in your voice. You can be firm without being cold. You can be unavailable without being unkind. Practice this with different scenarios. I appreciate the invitation. I won't be able to make it. Have a wonderful time. Thanks for asking me to help with the move. I'm not available that weekend. Hope it goes smoothly. The key is consistency. Don't let your tone apologize for what your words are clearly stating. Don't let your voice get smaller when you're setting a boundary. Don't let your body language contradict your words. 4. Respect over people-pleasing. Respect is earned in the no, not the yes. Here's something that might surprise you. People respect you more when you say no than when you always say yes. Think about it. Who do you respect more? The person who's always available for everything, or the person who's selective about their commitments? When you always say yes, you become predictable. You become the person people go to when they need something done, but don't want to ask someone whose time they actually value. You become the backup plan, the sure thing, the one who never says no. But when you say no, sometimes your yes means something. When you're selective about your commitments, people know that when you do show up, you're choosing to be there. Your presence becomes a gift instead of an obligation. Oprah Winfrey said, "You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, and what you reinforce." Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're teaching people that your boundaries don't matter. Every time you apologize for having limits, you're teaching people that your needs are less important than theirs. Respect isn't earned through endless availability. It's earned through consistency, integrity, and the courage to disappoint people when necessary. It's earned by being someone whose word means something, whether that word is yes or no. The people who get angry when you set boundaries are revealing who they really are. They're not upset because they care about you. They're upset because they're losing access to someone they can exploit. 5. Saying no creates space for your real yeses. Protect your time like rent money. Your time and energy are finite resources, but you're treating them like they're unlimited. You wouldn't give away your rent money to every person who asks for it, so why are you giving away your time to every request that comes your way? Every yes to something you don't want to do is a no to something you do want to do. Every commitment that drains you is energy you can spend on what matters to you. Every obligation you hate is space that could be filled with something you love. When you say no to the things that don't align with your values, goals, and priorities, you create space for the things that do. When you stop filling your calendar with other people's emergencies, you have room for your own priorities. Think about your current commitments. How many of them did you say yes to because you wanted to? And how many did you say yes to because you felt guilty saying no? How many are adding value to your life? And how many are just taking up space? Your real yeses, the things you're genuinely excited about, the people you actually want to spend time with, the activities that energize you instead of drain you, those things need space to exist. But that space only comes when you start saying no to everything else. Steve Jobs said, "I'm convinced that about half of what separates successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance." But he also said, "Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. Success isn't about doing more. It's about doing the right things and saying no to everything else." Now for the tough love conclusion. This is going to sting but set you free. If your calendar is full of things you hate, that's not bad luck. That's bad boundaries. You're not a victim of circumstances. You're not unlucky. You're not cursed with demanding people. You're just someone who's never learned to say no without feeling guilty about it. Every commitment you hate is there because you put it there. Every obligation that drains you exists because you said yes to it. Every person who takes advantage of your time does it because you've taught them that they can. Stop acting like things just happen to you. Stop pretending that you have no control over your schedule, your commitments, or your energy. You have complete control. You're just afraid to use it. Your people-pleasing isn't making anyone happy, including you. It's not making you a good person. It's making you a resentful person who's slowly losing themselves in other people's expectations. The people who truly care about you want you to have boundaries. They want you to take care of yourself. They want you to be happy and healthy and whole. The people who get upset when you set boundaries, they don't care about you. They care about what you can do for them. Stop outsourcing your power to people who don't deserve it. Stop apologizing for having needs. Stop feeling guilty for having limits. You are not required to be everything to everyone. You are required to be something to yourself. Here's your assignment, and it's non-negotiable. Say no to one thing today without an explanation. Not "I can't because," just "I can't," or "that doesn't work for me," or "I'm not available." Sit with the discomfort. Let it teach you. Notice how the world doesn't end when you don't over-explain yourself. Notice how people respect your boundary when you deliver it with confidence instead of apology. Start practicing your power. Your future self is counting on you to stop giving it away. If this video gave you permission to finally stop apologizing for having a life, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're building a community of people who refuse to apologize for having boundaries. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one thing you're going to say no to this week without explanation? Let's practice our power together. Remember, you don't need anyone's permission to protect your energy. You don't need anyone's approval to have limits, and you definitely don't need to apologize for being human. Until next time, stop saying sorry for having standards and start living unapologetically.